How to systematically, stepwise, time promotions or new job opportunities for unemployed people. Well, when I say systematic, I'm very careful. It does not mean it cannot be generic, but you can use these systems for any style, any domain of astrology. Okay, it does not matter. So, first thing is, you need to understand before you get into the dynamic part. Dynamic means the dashas. Ultimately, dashas decide everything. But before you get into the dashas, you have to understand that at the end, the level of a person, the level of the person's life in general has to be decided not from the dashas but from the overall chart, which means the fundamental parameters of the horoscope has to be strong. Only if they are strong, only then can you predict that, oh, there is excellence, but excellence is more in this dasha, less in this dasha. Okay, but if you don't see that there is excellence, then the dashas are good. I mean, you can use the dashas, but it won't yield much difference. Okay, so for example, if there is a in India, suppose there is a MP, okay, or not MP, let's take MLA for example. So if the MLA has a strong chart, then maybe yeah, he or she can keep winning elections, okay, or maybe become minister in a state cabinet. But if the chart is not strong enough, then even if they have the best dashas for the next 50 years, they cannot go into center or they cannot become prime minister of a country. So that will so even if the dashas are the best, you will not reach certain heights without having a strong chart. Okay. So therefore, first the chart and then the dashas and then transits. But now when you see the chart, what do you see? Well, you see the Lagna lord, you see their date of birth. If in their date of birth there is 1975 or even 8s, then the probability of success is a bit higher. Okay. You need to check the basic number, the destiny number also. And when you take the individual numbers, you do not take the first two digits of the year because most of the people are born in the 1900s and they will by default have 1 1 and 1 9. Okay, so that is not considered. But when you calculate the destiny number, you have to consider the whole date of birth. Okay, and basic number, you know, anyways, it's the sum of the day. So if somebody is born on 14, so basic number is 5. Okay, so therefore, if there is 1975 or even 8, then in their date of birth, then you know their chances of wealth are much higher. Now, when you see that, then it means the person can have a above average life, above average respect to their contemporary society. So, for example, if a person is born in middle class, then the person may by the next 20 30 years from when their profession starts, like the profession generally starts around 25. So by the time they are 50, they can move to upper middle class. Okay, or maybe very elite, more higher classes. Okay, HNI or whatever they call it, depending on first you see the date of birth, then you see the horoscope. So in the horoscope you will see lagna lord, then you see the karakas like sun, mercury, saturn, these three karakas for the 10th house, very important. Then you see how many planets are associated directly or indirectly with the first, 10th and the 11th. These three houses are house of name, fame, power, position, authority. And if not, then at least the second or the sixth. Okay, because second, sixth, 10th are artha houses, right? So now, if you see majority of the planets are somehow associated. Associated means they are lording these houses, or they are sitting in these houses, or their nakshatra lords are sitting in these houses. Okay, then you know that the person will again have above average life. Okay, so once you have seen all these parameters, then you go to the dashas. So for example, now a person at the age of 25 starts Saturn Mahadasha. Okay, so suppose Saturn is sitting in the 10th house. Let's take an example and let's assume the date of birth and the overall chart is reasonably strong. So first is the date of birth, then the overall chart, and then now we are at step number 3, which is you go to the Mahadasha first. So suppose the person starts Saturn Mahadasha, but Saturn is not associated with the first, second, sixth, 10th, or 11th. Primarily, it is not associated with the first, 10th, or 11th. It is associated with some random house, like for example, third house, fourth house, or yeah, whatever, ninth house, or maybe even the Dusthana. So if these houses are associated, then you know that there won't be anything exceptionally good in the Saturn Mahadasha, in the entire Mahadasha. So it can happen that when the person is 20, Saturn Mahadasha starts, and it's 19 years, it will go until 39 years. Okay. So then you know that now the Antardashas have to be exceptionally good to give something exceptional in life. Okay. But because the Mahadasha Lord is neutral, kind of, unless it is in a Dusthana house, if it is neutral, then it will go on. So the status quo will be maintained, and that means every 4 or 5 years they may get some promotion, like yeah, three four promotions they may get in 19 years. Okay, that's how it could be, or they may have 3 4 job changes. But suppose Saturn is in the 11th or in the 10th. Now when I say in this house, that house, it is only from the Bhavachalik chart. Okay, not from the Lagna chart. Lagna chart does not show house placement, so please go to the Bhavachalik chart. If you don't know, please type in YouTube exotic astrology, BHAVACHART, Bhava chart. Okay, Bhava Chalit or Bhava chart, whatever you say. Now, if Saturn is already in the 11th, then, or it's in the 10th in the Bhava chart, either ways, then you know that this person during this Mahadasha will have very good rise. Okay. Now, within this Mahadasha, the Antardashas of planets which are situated again in the same houses like 10th, 11th, or 2nd or 6th, could be the ascendant also. When the Antardasha of these planets come, there could be massive promotion. So that is how you time. Okay. But now because the Mahadasha Lord itself is good, so you can recommend, you can become an entrepreneur, you can start your business or something like that. You can also do job, but it's recommended you start your own business, because then you keep all the money that you make, right, in a business, unlike a job. So if you do a deal for one crore or whatever, $10 million, you won't get all the money, right? You will get a very small percentage of it as a increment on top of your salary, or something like yeah, a bonus or whatever you call it. Okay, or partnership either. So then you recommend that, okay, start your business. Now, if Mahadasha is very good and the Antardasha planets are indicating Dusthanas like 6th, 8th, 12th, like, within Saturn, and Saturn, Mercury, Antardasha comes. So Mercury is now in the 12th house. So during that period, there will be expenses, but Mahadasha will give you the status that will be maintained. And suppose now, along with Saturn in the 11th, the person has Moon in the 10th. So when Saturn Moon comes, phenomenal, like something massive will happen. Okay. So that is how you can time, like you can time big promotions, like big events, or you can time down list, downfall. Okay. Downfall activities. Very, very, very important. So this means it's true for the other side also. Okay. So for example, if Saturn is in a Dusthana house, like the 8th, and suppose Mercury is in the 6th or 12th, so Saturn, Mercury comes, job loss, something like that. Okay. So this is how you can systematically time. Now, within this, what happens is, suppose you are running Saturn Mahadasha and Venus Antardasha. Okay, suppose Saturn is in the 11th and Venus is in the 10th house. Let's take an example. So Saturn, Venus, big promotions, big things will happen. But within that, within those 3 years, you can check the pratyantars, or what you can do, you can see transits. This is step number 4. You can check transits of prominent planets, like slow moving planets like Jupiter or Saturn primarily. You can see when within those 3 years, like Saturn, Venus, more than 3 years, that Antardasha, within those 3 years, is Jupiter transiting your 10th or 6th or 7th, or 2nd, 6th, 10th, or 11th, these 4 houses? Is it transiting? It may transit in one of the years. And along with that is Rahu Ketu also transiting. Are Rahu and Ketu both transiting, or at least Saturn is transiting? Okay. So if within that you get, okay, so suppose now next 3 years I have Saturn Venus Dasha, which is fine, which is good, because Saturn is in 11th, Venus is in the 10th, or vice versa. And now I have Jupiter transiting the 10th house. Okay, along with it. Now you go to the next level, where you see fast moving planets, like you have Sun, Mercury, Venus, okay, or Moon also. So Now, in that one particular 12 months, like Jupiter stays in one sign for 12 months almost, right? So that within those 12 months, you see which planet is, when are, which are the months, when these planets like Mercury, Venus, Sun, these three planets, or could be Mars or Moon, as I said. Now, when are they transiting important houses? Like, when are they transiting the ascendant or the 10th house or the 11th house or the 6th house, something like that. So then, within these 3.5 years, I have this one good year. And within this one good year, this month of April, May, June, or whatever, September, October, November, these months are very good. Okay. So that means if you now, for example, now it's July 2025, if you have a good period coming up, let's say in September, so then you can apply for promotions from now itself so that you get the result that time. Okay. So that is how you can actually systematically term promotions and downfalls. And yeah, as I said, this will be true for the other way around also. So for example, if there are bad periods and within that there is another bad period, it could be like, as in Hindi they say na, sadak pe aa gaya, something like that. Okay. So therefore, first you check the date of birth, you see the overall chart, step number 2, and then in step number 3 you see the Mahadasha and Antardasha, and the last but not the least you see transits. And if still you are confused, you are not getting an answer, then well, you need to do Prashna. Okay, so when you do Prashna, but Prashna should not be done randomly, like, oh, randomly I'm trying to find what is going on. No, it does not work like that. First, always check the DOB, then the chart, then the dashas, then transits, and then if required, you take help of Prashna. All right. So these 5 things should go simultaneously. Otherwise, you'll go wrong, because many people ask me, oh, my Jupiter is transiting 11th house. Why did nothing happen? Well, it does not work like that. It depends on what is there in your chart. Okay. And what is there in your dashas. So chart, dashas, most important. So do not ignore it. All right. So thank you very much for your patience. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please do share your comments below. How do you do systematic analysis of a chart? I would love to hear which domain do you prefer more, and what are the steps that you take, and what are some of the steps you have seen that has given the best results. All right. For personalized consultations, you can always go to my website down in the description section. God is there with you all the time. Just look to him and you will find him for sure.